Hello, hello, hello. This is my second time doing this recording because the first time I recorded it and there was no sound. So here we are. We're back. Welcome to the Sisterhood Community Podcast. My name is Casey Marie and I am here today to talk to you about the root chakra, which is the foundation of our energetic blueprint. The root chakra, the reason I want to talk about this is because it's so vital in how we feel safe to be ourselves. It is the foundation of what all the other chakras, like how they operate. And if you're not aware, the chakra system, it is 7 energy centers within the body. So they're not physical, they're energetic, and they spiral. And at each energy center is our feelings of safety and comfortability and confidence in being who we authentically are. So I'm going to start at the root chakra because the root chakra is formed while we're in our mother's womb. So, and it goes until we're 12 months of age. So whatever our mothers were experiencing, anxiety, fears, whatever psychological state that they were in, it was because they had a dysregulated nervous system for many of them, and it was passed on to us. We inherited it basically. So while they were pregnant with us, and then even after, like, we witnessed things that we may not remember, but it really affected how we acted around them. We basically developed coping mechanisms for survival so that we felt comfortable in their presence. And for me, I don't remember that first year. I feel like a lot of us may not. But when I reflected on my mother's behavior, because I was with her for like the first 5 years consistently, pretty much. So the first year, well, anyways, so I was just reflecting on what I did remember about my mom. And it really allowed me to be like, okay, she wasn't evolving or growing in the sense of bettering her health and her life. So those same anxiety patterns, they may have been just like that when I was born, or worse, because there was no real healing that was occurring throughout my 30 years here. So I've been able to really put the pieces together and be like, wow, the reason why I didn't feel comfortable being myself, I didn't feel safe to express how I felt, to use my voice, why I couldn't get clarity, all these things had to do with the fact that my root chakra was affected, and then it affected all my other chakras, because the root chakra is how we feel grounded and rooted, being on earth and just as we are. And it also has to do with our basic needs. So were we emotionally tended to? Did we have shelter and food and clothing? Were we encouraged in being ourselves? So it's so deep, because when you're born into the world unsafe, those patterns continue of developing coping mechanisms to whatever environment you're in, whoever you're around. You basically mask yourself to feel at ease, to feel likable, to feel like people see or hear you, see you, but you're masking yourself to their needs. I just feel it's so significant because I feel many of us did that with our parents, especially, my generation and the generations before me, because it's like many of them grew up with caregivers who were deeply programmed, brainwashed to feel like they had to live a certain way, to survive based off of societal norms, the systems in place, as well as you can clearly see as you begin to heal the suppressed emotions, the suppressed aspects of themselves that they pushed aside to fit in, basically. Because many of our parents, our grandparents, and so forth, let go of their dreams to provide. So they feel as though, many of them, as though they sacrificed themselves to make sure we had what we needed. And in the reality, you know, they did the best they could, but we needed much more than just, say, physical needs, like, you know, what I mentioned, shelter, clothing, food. We needed emotional support. We needed encouragement and upliftment and guidance in how to navigate this world, to be ourselves unapologetically, to feel safe and secure within ourselves, and to trust in the divine, because it is spiritual before anything is physical, but we weren't taught that. So we've basically been severed from our spiritual connection, because when we're told to be a certain way that's not authentic to who we are as individual souls in these human vessels, we lose sight of that connection with the divine, that really connects us and grounds us more into the earth and to who we are, and we begin to see the interconnectedness of everybody. But we've been told to separate ourselves, but then to be like everybody else. So it's really a lot of brainwashing that's occurred. So part of healing is unraveling the things we've been told and developing our own belief system and really getting to the root of who we are. And that starts with self-reflection, accountability, and then the courage to change our ways and to be ourselves unapologetically, which is a process. But it's worth it. It's so worth it. I'll say, like, I've been on this healing journey for about, I say, like 5 to 6 years. And I'm just now, this past year has been extremely transformative for me. I'm just now able to really express myself freely without overthinking my words, without fear of sounding stupid or dumb, because that's my own projection. We psych ourselves out of being ourselves in fear of what others may think, when really they don't care. And if they do, if they judge us, as we heal, we begin to see, like, you know what, I don't need this in my life. Because when you accept yourselves, you only want to be around individuals that accept the totality of you and appreciate all you are and all you have to offer. So that's the beauty of knowing your worth and your value and moving throughout the world accordingly and creating a life that you don't have to escape from. One that's beautiful and joyful and exciting, and then aligning with people that also can reciprocate the energy you're in. They know their value, they pour into themselves, they go forth with their dreams, and they can encourage you and uplift you in being who you are and doing what you feel called to do in this world. So that's the beauty of authenticity, baby. And that's something many of us have been stripped from, but we are returning to. So kudos to you for being here, because this is the start of it. So my recent video got cut off because the baby woke up and I needed a tea break, and yeah, it just didn't flow for as long as I thought it was gonna flow. So I'm back, and you know, I wanted to finish up what I was saying about the root chakra. So I'm gonna be sharing some knowledge, some wisdom out of this book, Eastern Body, Western Mind. All right, here we go. So the earth chakra. It is the Muladhara chakra. That's the Sanskrit name. Its purpose is the foundation. So like I said before, the root chakra is the foundation of us feeling like we belong here on earth. It's our sense of groundedness, and it sets all the other chakras up for success, or I don't want to say failure, but imbalance. Either balanced or balanced. So the issues, the roots, grounding, nourishment, trust, health, home, family, prosperity, and appropriate boundaries. So if your root chakra is not balanced, you have a difficult time setting boundaries, having prosperity in your life, you have family issues, your home life is not stable, health issues, trust issues, nourishment problems grounding, and then problems like being rooted, which is very similar. Or you don't know your roots. The color is red. The location is the base of the spine. The identity is physical. Orientation, self-preservation. The demon is fear. So when we find ourselves with a fear mindset, like attaching ourselves to fears, creating that anxiety, that panic and worry, that means your root chakra is not balanced. Because there's an excess of energy going towards the worst outcome instead of being balanced and thinking of the best outcome and just having faith and trust in yourself and the divine and life. So yeah, that one's big. And I wanted to mention too, fear. Someone had shared this with me. It is false evidence appearing real. So any fear that comes up, we have to begin to recognize the thoughts and recognize that it's a fear because the future has not happened yet. And we're trying to predict an outcome that doesn't even exist. So when that happens, just remind yourself that, no, that's not real. It's a fear. Let me think of the best outcome. That's how we reprogram our mind and create new neural pathways, more positive thinking patterns by consciously shifting our negative belief system, our limiting belief system. I'll say. The more we do that, the more we support our brain and thinking of the most best, beautiful timeline, the best possible outcome, the more we have faith and trust in ourselves. Because what you believe is what supports those neural pathways. You literally strengthen those, whether it be the worst outcome, like a limiting belief system. It strengthens that feeling of anxiety and worry and stress, or it be the best and most beautiful, prosperous, harmonious outcome. And then we'll just feel lighter because what you believe manifests in your body and how it affects how you feel, your mood, physical sensations and everything, because it's all connected. So, hold on one second. So the developmental stage, the second trimester to 12 months. I think I went into that a little bit, so I'm not going to go too far into that right now. Developmental tasks, physical growth, motor skills, and object permanence. So, like, for me, I mean, I don't know, I'm not going to go into that too much right now. I just feel like it's important for the development of the child to be able to develop, to have the tools necessary and the freedom to develop into who they are. Because when that doesn't happen, then it's like your root chakra is going to be imbalanced. Basic rights to be here, or basic rights to be here and to have. Also wanted to say, think about a child that's like put into like a playpen all the time. or, you know, a baby gate, like they're just limited to one room. It doesn't allow them that freedom and that space to really explore themselves and their environments. And that's something that I had read in here too, but it talks about how when you're not able to really explore and embrace like what's around you, your individuality, it really halts your growth. And, you know, I will say I see that a lot. I've been in situations where I see a lot of families and I see children a similar age to my children, and I just notice a difference because they're in the laptop all the time, or a tablet or a phone, and their development is not the same. Whereas, you know, kids and, you know, my children, I'll say, where we go out in nature, we play, we talk, we just do a lot of hands-on, one-on-one interactions. The children that don't get that, a lot of one-on-one time, and they're consumed with technology, they're not developing the same at all. Like the way they pronounce words isn't the same, the way they interact with others isn't the same. How they enjoy, like if they enjoy outside and playing, is all completely different. Yeah, and it reflects a lot. There's no judgment, but it's the awareness around what we feed our children and ourselves, you know, how we take care of ourselves, reflects in how our children are. So if we're not taking care of ourselves, how are we feeding them positivity and words of affirmation and, you know, one-on-one time? Whereas when we're consumed with work and stress and things, we develop unhealthy coping mechanisms, and, you know, our children like suffer in the process because they're not receiving our healthy side, or, you know, the side of us that has more energy, we're more vibrant, we're more alive, and we're excited and curious about life. They receive the opposite in a way. So, or, you know, they're not receiving that side, I'll say. It's just very important that we take care of ourselves and that we heal these blockages so that we feel lighter, and then our children get to experience us in the best health possible. So, the balance characteristics, good health, vitality, you feel well grounded, you're comfortable in your body, you have a sense of trust in the world, a feeling of safety and security, ability to relax and be still in your own presence, really enjoy yourself, stability, prosperity, and a right livelihood. Basically feeling alive and grounded and safe. And then that reflects in your external environment as well, like how you're able to maintain a home, family life, relationships, financial stability, and so on. The traumas and abuses, so birth trauma. I don't know if I went into this yet because, like I said, I got cut off. But the birth trauma is like, well, I feel like I might have, but I'm going to say it again. You know, whether you're born into the world via C-section, you know, you had a traumatic surgery done. Even though we were babies and we may not remember, at the time, it affected our nervous system tremendously. Because what baby feels safe going through all of that when they just want to be next to their mother, like their sense of comfort? They want to come into the world in silence and peace, not lights and scissors and, you know, cutting and all that stuff. And then even when we talk about surgeries, like heart surgeries, their children that have brain surgeries, so many things that affects them tremendously. You know, we think we've thought because they're children that, you know, they have to do that, and, you know, maybe they have had to survive, but at the same time, we're not consciously aware of the fact that it affected them, and it continues to affect them unless they have consistent feeling of safety on an emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual level. And if we're not able to offer that to ourselves, we're not able to offer that to our children. So this is why we unlearn behaviors and patterns, so that we show up better. And we get to the root of our nervous system dysregulation, and that's the start. Okay, so more traumas and abuses. Abandonment, physical neglect, poor physical bonding with mother, malnourishment, feeding difficulties, major illness or surgery, physical or violent environment, anemia abuse, inherited traumas, the parents' survival fears, Holocaust survivors, war veterans, poverty conditions. It could be other traumas that your parents experienced that they didn't heal through, and their dysregulated nervous system, like, we picked up on that, you know, because we were around them, so we could tell if they were in a state of calm or a state of panic, and then it affected how we felt. You know, maybe we walked on eggshells around their moods, or we didn't feel comfortable expressing certain aspects of ourselves, and it's because they weren't safe for themselves, so they couldn't provide that to us. So subconsciously, we began to develop beliefs and things around our worth and around how we should move throughout the world, because we watched everything they did. Everything. And that's how we truly learn. We learn by listening, but it's more so seeing the action play out. Because people can say things and then not have the action. We're action, like, oriented in a way. We see the world and we pay attention when we first come out the womb, especially. And then throughout our adolescence, even our adulthood. But we're not consciously, like, aware, but our brain picks up on those actions and behaviors, and then we literally develop a whole belief around how we should be and act. Deficiency. I keep breathing because it's like, this is so new that it's like my throat chakra is being activated. And the more that you heal, the more you'll be more aware of what's being activated. But this is new for me to communicate in this way. So, like, my throat is tight. I just have to keep breathing because it's new. I'm not nervous or anything, but it's just that feeling that I'm working through. So, I used to not talk a lot. Not about, like, things like this. It was more like basic, superficial things. So, and not often. So, yeah. Here we go. Deficiency, disconnection from the body. So if you feel disconnected, notably underweight, fearful, anxious, restless, or you can't settle. Financial difficulties, poor boundaries, chronic disorganization. So you're not able to stay organized. Those are all huge. I'm actually going to share this too. I'll probably take a picture of it and post it as well. So access. So if you're having access of energy, like access of your root chakra is like in an excessive state, basically. Obesity, overeating, hoarding, material fixation, greed. You're sluggish, lazy, tired. You have a fear of change. You're addicted to security, so you're so addicted to work and money to maintain the home and things. Even like in a codependent way, like, you know, if you're codependent emotionally in a relationship, you become addicted to that person, feeling like that's your only sense of calm and peace and feeling comfortable because you don't feel comfortable with yourself. And then your boundaries are extremely rigid, so you don't allow anyone near you. You don't do anything, you're just isolated. So physical malfunctions, disorders of the bowel, anus, large intestine, disorders of solid parts of the body like bones and teeth, issues with legs, feet, knees, base of spine, buttocks, buttocks, I haven't said that in a long time. Eating disorders, frequent illness can be deficient and or excessive. So the healing practices are like reconnecting with your body again through yoga, meditation, going outside, connecting with the ground, with nature, with dirt, grass, like feeling the elements. Physical activity, aerobics, weights, running, dance, lots of touch, massage, bioenergetic grounding. It says Hatha yoga. A look at earliest childhood relationship to mother, which is huge because our mother is our first home. We were in her womb. She's the first voice we heard, the first body, the first heartbeat we recognized. So when we come out of her womb, that's what we look for, you know, and those interactions in the womb and out of the womb mattered. Like we needed her nurturance, her care, her encouragement, her love. And if we didn't receive that, we naturally developed an imbalanced root chakra. We naturally don't feel, we don't have like a high sense of confidence, groundedness, in who we are and how we show up in the world. So it's very important to look at those early experiences and relationships with the mother, and I will say the father too. But, you know, it specifies the mother because it's the root chakra. That's where it starts. So the affirmations is, it is safe to be here. And I'll say, I am safe to be here. The earth supports me and my needs. I love my body and trust its wisdom. And take a deep breath in between to really just soak it in. Say it as many times as you need to say it. I love my body and its wisdom. I am immersed in abundance. I am here and I am real. And say, I deserve to be here. I am worthy of expressing myself freely. I am safe. I am grounded. I am secure and confident in who I am. Speak those over and over again. Look up root chakra affirmations, or affirmations to feel confident, to feel grounded, and it'll really help. Let me just see what else. See if any. Okay, I'm gonna read a quote too, and then I'm probably going to the next chakra in the next video, which is the root, the sacral chakra. So it says, fear engages our survival instincts by getting us ready to respond. But if it becomes constant, we lose our ability to respond appropriately. So if we're always having fearful thoughts, then we're moving off impulse too. So a fearful thought can come up, And, you know, we're naturally in like a survival state. So we want to protect ourselves from that fear, that outcome from happening. So we'll do whatever we have to do for that not to happen. And if we are consistently having those thoughts, then we're not responding appropriately to situations. So we're literally keeping ourselves in a lower state and at the lowest timeline for our lives because we're not thinking of the best outcome. We keep ourselves from opportunities, from expansion in our lives because we're not able to see the potential of a beautiful future. Like, it's very low vibrational energy that keeps us from growing. We're not growing when we're not taking chances, we're not taking risks, because everything is truly a risk. And if we don't recognize that and just decide to take the leap and to have courage, then we're not going to grow. We're not going to see who we are, how we respond to situations, you know, how we can respond differently in the future, and like just expand our lives and have what we desire in life. So that's where we stay comfortable. We avoid difficult conversations. We have fear of people leaving us and things, so we're not confrontational. We don't speak up and use our voice. Just very stagnant. Oh, you know what? So I'll read a little more and then I'll be done. I'll start the next video another day. So reclaiming our roots. This is about getting to the root of, you know, where we come from. The Sanskrit name for the base chakra is Muladhara. It means root support. This chakra roots us into our bodies, the physical world, and the earth. A plant cannot survive without roots, and neither can the psyche of a human being. Our roots represent where we come from. The earth, womb, our ancestors and family, and our personal history. We cannot simultaneously deny our past and maintain our roots. In order to create a solid foundation, we have to sort out the roots of our childhood. For better or worse, these roots nourished and sustained us in our formative stages. Where the ground was inhospitable, we need to transplant our psyche to more fertile soil. This involves paying attention to the environments we live in and the ground we create around us. So it's about consciously creating a solid foundation for ourselves by affirming ourselves, by doing those things I mentioned before, the healing practices, with reconnecting with our body, so we feel safe inside of our being and we don't feel we need to run to alcohol and marijuana and other people to feel comfortable being on earth. We should feel comfortable with ourselves and feel alive inside ourselves to be able to express ourselves in whatever way we feel is authentic to us.
I got another little like that I'm trying to either put like a heart, like we're doing like this.
Okay, I'm gonna read this too. So this is about fear. Just to elaborate on it, because it's good. So ideally, fear wakes us up from the sleepy hypnotic, I'll say. That's not what it says, but hypnotic state of merging and trust, which is the characteristic of an infant. When the threat cannot be overcome, We adapt to the fear and form ourselves around a basic contraction and shakiness. This is contrary to the healthy state of the first chakra, which is associated with safety, security, and solidity. To work through fear is to learn to relax and feel the subtle energies of the body, to have pleasure and expand our attention to a wider vista. To combat fear is to strengthen the first chakra. To live with fear is to weaken it. In order to fully ground into a solid foundation capable of supporting the rest of our activities, the demon of fear must be overcome. This means, first of all, that fear must be understood. Where did it come from? How does it serve you? Understanding is not enough, however, because the fear response is still lodged in the body. That nervous system dysregulation is still in there. So when we have a fear, it's like our body is like in a state of like hyper arousal. Or I feel like it's more of like a constricting feeling when we feel fear. You feel it in your chest, your back. It's uncomfortable. So does it make you want to run and hide? Does it make you angry and activated or paralyzed and confused? So it's actually both. So we're either in a state of hyperarousal, or we want to get away, or we're like stuck and we're frozen. Allowing the body to express these responses helps complete the gestalt of the response to the original trauma. In its completion, the cycle of fear can be broken and a healthier pattern created. Finally, one must develop the strength and resources to effectively meet similar threats in the future. This may include such things as building self-esteem, learning martial arts, or improving communication skills. Although fear is the demon of the first chakra, it is also a sacred adversary, a presence that has much to teach us. Fear exists as an ally of self-preservation, teaching us of our own importance and the need to take care of ourselves. Only when we acknowledge this demon as an ally can it be truly mastered. Fear is a belief that something awful might happen, while faith is a belief that something good will happen. Although the results are different, the causes are the same. Both are beliefs that govern our behavior and influence the way we feel. If we can replace unreasonable fear with reasonable faith, then we have a natural antidote to our first chakra demon. So both are beliefs that govern our behavior and influence the way we feel. So when we have a fearful thought and we attach ourselves to it, we become consumed by it. So to consciously shift that and to have faith in the best outcome, we feel lighter. And I feel like from my experience witnessing other people have fears about me in my life, it showed me that when someone attaches themselves to a fear, they feel it's real, firstly, and they also they blame the other person who they have a fearful thought of for how they feel. They don't have the awareness that that's their problem. That's their emotional experience, their thought process, their mindset, and it has nothing to do with the other person causing them to feel that way. I'll say I have been blamed for other people's states because they're in a fearful state and their body is responding. Like they have heart issues and headaches and they're drinking, literally drinking themselves to death, and they blame me for the reason why they feel how they feel. With no accountability, no self-awareness. Like, I'm not making you drink yourself to death. I'm not making you come up with these thoughts that you're attaching yourself to because you're imbalanced and you don't feel secure. That has nothing to do with me. And that's something I've had to accept and, work on is
realizing like others' behaviors and actions has nothing to do with me, and I know my experience and my truth, and that's all that matters. And that has allowed me to have more confidence in myself and to speak up for myself. Because when we're consumed in what others think, and we're trying to get them to see what we see, and just like see our reality, if they don't hear you the first time, accept that they have their own reality and they are who they are, and distance yourself as needed. Like, do what you need to do to protect your mental health and your well-being. Because what happens is, if we continue to stay around people that project their mental chaos into our world that we know is not true to us, it can cause anxiety. We can people please if we're not consciously aware. So setting boundaries is the first and major step in taking your power back from people who are trying to force you to do what they do, believe what they believe, and so on. And what I feel many are not consciously aware of as well is that their behaviors can be very narcissistic. They don't see it. Some people may see it. Some people are controlling and they try to do that. They try to twist the narrative to get you to go a certain way. But other people, because of their wounding, they're not seeing how their behaviors are narcissistic, because they're so stuck in their way of being, that because they haven't healed, that they will literally try to force you to be on their side and to believe what they believe. And if you don't, they cast you aside completely. They feel like you're crazy, you're this, you're that. They'll call you all kinds of names. So learning to be grounded in who you are, to really feel safe in your skin, and to heal your root chakra, to balance that root chakra, is vital. Otherwise, we will do what other people say, be swayed by other people's beliefs, and we're not being authentic to ourselves. So I will say too, like, wear the dress that you want to wear the clothes you want to wear, express yourself in whatever way you feel that feels great to you. If you recognize you're like, oh, would this look good to other people? Will people judge me? Whatever. Recognize the thought and let it go. Wear it anyways. Do what you want to do. Sing the song in public. Express yourself in public. Recognize when you try to hide yourself from other people because in fear of judgment. Do it anyways. Face the uncomfortability of being yourself authentically around other people, and learn who you are to yourself so that you can do that around other people. And the more you do that, the more confident you'll become, and the more you'll begin to be unapologetically yourself, and you can see why you haven't been yourself for so long, why you've masked yourself, why you've been insecure, and not use your voice, because most of it stems from our childhood experiences. And then, if we've had trauma in our adult life, that as well will reflect in our childhood experiences, where we weren't taught boundaries. We weren't encouraged in being who we are. So we also just developed survival strategies subconsciously, that to feel comfortable around, our caregivers and, our peers in school. Whatever it is, the more that you begin to accept who you are and face those childhood woundings, the more alive you'll become. The more you'll get excited and curious about yourself and about life, and you won't be living in a state of anxiousness, insecurity, survival, and you'll just be free. You know what I'm saying? It's a process. But every time you take your power back, you become more liberated. And that's the whole point of being alive. We were never meant to shame ourselves, to hide ourselves, to mask ourselves. We were born to be who we are uniquely and express ourselves unapologetically. So, yes, that is all I'm going to read about and express today. The next video, I'll be talking about the sacral chakra. So, yeah, stay tuned. I love you all. Take care.